recording.
You started at 8 o'clock once people join.
Sure. Hi all. Thanks for joining today's session. So Avinash, can you confirm if you're able to hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Perfect. So thanks all. Thanks for joining today's session. So before we hand it over to Avinash, we will just begin. Our stage is all yours. So Avinash Jha, by education, is an engineer and by profession, a program manager. And he has worked in telecommunication space and in companies like Tata Teleservices, Nokia, Wipro, and Reliance Communication in multiple roles and responsibilities. His last assignment was in Tata Teleservices Limited as a national program manager. Currently, he's pursuing management education from Masters Union in Technology and Management. Avinash holds PMP and PGMP credentials, certifications, and other micro credentials. And he's part of the PMI chapters and also an active volunteer. And he loves to travel and he wants to store 1,000 true stories to tell at the age of 60. And if you all zoom into Avinash's background, you can actually notice that he has a signature which says, spare 2 hours to give back to society. So he is going to share about, in today's session, today he'll be sharing about the change in leadership attributes, considering the current scenario, and the title of speech is also change in leadership. So over to you, Avinash.
Thank you, Session Chair Divya. And I hope everyone is able to hear me and audio, video, everything is fine. Can anyone confirm?
Yeah, we can confirm. So Divya, just to confirm, you have started the recording, no?
Yes, it is on.
Sure. Thank you, Session Chair Divya and Jay. Do you know that your non-verbal communication is 12.5 times more powerful as compared to your verbal communication? So I would like to request all of you to start streaming your videos because it is a one-way communication. I think it is not fair for you also and for me also. So could you please start your video streaming so that we can exchange our non-verbal communication? Hello. I cannot see even a single video on. Thanks, sir. If you can start your video, it will be good, really good that we can exchange our non-verbal communication so that we can understand each other better. Chalo, that sounds good. At least I can see some faces. So good evening once again, and I think you can see my screen also, right? Okay, let us start. So I am Avinash, and thank you, Divya, for a nice introduction. Actually, I don't deserve for that. And today I'm going to share about the changed action world around us where we live, work, and lead. And I'm going to share the few traits of leadership which is really viable and required according to the change action world, which I learned from friends, my families, my superiors, my professors, and everyone. One moment, I'm not able to. Okay. So we all know about the classical definition of the leadership. We all know about the different leadership style. After all, we all are associated with the PM world and definitely the PMI. And all this information are readily available. I'm not going to talk about this. You might ask me a question, then what is beyond that? Actually, I'm going to take a very holistic approach to put across my views on this particular subject. VUCA has transformed into Raft. Yes, you have seen correctly. The action world has been changed. We all know about VUCA: volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. VUCA is basically the way to articulate changing world around us where we live, work, and lead. What is RUPT then? Let's get into detail of the RUPT. RUPT is basically a Latin word which means explode, and that's why you are able to see a different word like erupt, disrupt in dictionary. An acronym RUPT, R stand for rapid. The changes we observe comes to us very quickly. For example, when the next lockdown is going to be imposed. We don't know that. And once it is imposed, it will come to us very quickly. U stand for uncertain. Now, uncertain was in VUCA also. Then what is the difference? The difference is basically the horizon of planning. Nowadays, you cannot plan for years and months. In my opinion, the horizon of planning has been reduced less than even a month. Let's understand it by example. If I ask you dinner today and tomorrow, you will be able to answer me. But what if I'm asking you a dinner exactly 1 month from today, that is on 27th of August, you most probably you won't be able to answer. So the horizon of planning has changed. Paradox is interesting. I don't think so that the leaders will be having a luxury to decide between right and wrong. It is going to be a decision making between one right to another right and one wrong to another wrong. Let us understand this also by example. I'm taking a latest example so that you can correlate very well. Paradox example is like a lockdown during the second wave. The restriction was very limited and specifically to the impacted area only, and which was totally against what was the lockdown last year. End of the day, government has to balance between the economies and casualties. I believe that every decision taken during the second wave lockdown was paradox in nature. The decision between one right to another right and one wrong to another wrong. Tangle is even more interesting. Tangle says that everything is connected to everything else where we live, where we work, and where we lead. For example, can anyone unmute and say that according to you, what could be the essential during the lockdown? Anyone, according to you? Okay. So the expert says that the flow of information is the most crucial and important during the lockdown. Now, Tangle says that everything is connected to everything else. Let us understand this. The moment information flow allowed via voice and data, the telecom operators, the ISP operators allowed, and hence the employees, and hence they are using the vehicle to maintain their network, hence the petrol and diesel, and so many things. And I can keep on going and I can correlate everything with everything. The point over here is to understand that everything is connected to everything. We, our family, our society, one area, one city, district, state, country, and even the whole world is connected to each other. With this, we understand the RUPT, a changed action world. Now let us have a look on the key traits, which I believe that we need to opt for according to the action world, which is currently going on, that is nothing but RUPT. You can sense some moment of happiness within this with these three pictures, and let me show you the team behind it and the leader behind it. You might be thinking, what are smiling faces are doing in the leadership discussion? Operation Thunderbolt, the most incredible military operation carried out by the Israeli soldiers to rescue hostages at Entebbe airport, which was 4,000 kilometers away from Israeli border. Let me give you some sense of the event so that you can correlate what I'm trying to talk about as. Air France Flight 139, the planned route was Al Tabib to Athens and finally to Paris. On 27th June 1976, it took off. It departed from Al Tabib carrying mostly Israeli passengers. It picked up few more passengers at Athens. And immediately after takeoff, the plane was hijacked. The plane was taken off to the Entebbe airport, which was in Uganda. Very next day, the terrorists freed up few hostages, which did not appear to be Israeli. The negotiation and international efforts started. All negotiation attempts, international intervention failed. After 7 days, on 3rd of July 76, Israeli government has given go ahead for the military operation. On the same day at 11 p.m., 4 cargo planes landed at Entebbe airport, and it just took 30 minutes for the assault operation to rescue hostages. And within 53 minutes, the whole operation concluded. Here I'm going to highlight the 3 key decision making, which was paradox in nature. The first, think about the Israeli government when they given a go ahead for the military operation. I'm sure there might be 100 of if and buts in front of the leaders when they took this decision. Secondly, Mossad and Israeli defense had made 6 different plans, and they had opted for the one which they have made on the same day evening. Think about the situation in front of the leaders during the decision making, the if and buts, and their own analysis and their own decision making. And the third and the final one is, during the assault operation, 3 hostages were killed, including 1 commando. The Israeli soldiers ensured to bring back their slain body to Israel. However, they left one 74-year-old woman at airport, who was not able to cope up with the momentum. And I'm sure the decision taken within few seconds. In all 3 decisions, the paradox part in leadership is important. Hope you can remember the paradox between one right to another right and one wrong to another wrong. Let us have a look on the next trait. Oh, this is going to interesting. Can anyone name this national hero? And in my view, he is a real-time national hero. Can anyone name it? Do any one of you know his name or can recall? Okay. Major Sandeep Unnikrishnan. And he taught us 2 critical lessons of leadership. Leaders should come up during the crisis, and I believe that crisis is the whetstone for the leadership. And Major taught us one more lesson: level up and level down. In matter of our position in any organization, I believe that we should practice level up and level down. Level up says that you should have a crystal clarity of a strategic intent of your commander, and you should have a capability to take one level up on demand. Level down says you should have ability to take one level down, and you should be able to do everything and anything one level down, and you should know the ground reality. Let us understand by example. We all know the NSG contribution in Operation Black Tornado. Let me share you some facts. Before 2611 attack, NSG was basically a one unit, only one unit. They were not having a different department like sales, marketing, HR, etc., finance. They were a one unit and designed to operate only one front at a given moment of time. When they arrived at Mumbai airport, they have been told it is not one, it is a 3 front, and all 3 front requires operation at the same time. They divided themselves in 3 different groups, and 3 among them stand up to take up the crisis. 72 hours of non-stop operation, more than 1,000 rooms searched, and it is on record that not even a single casualty after NSG taken up. Only casualty was 9 terrorists and 2 commandos. What a great example of the crisis and the level up. Level down can be understood by the last word of Major Sandeep Unnikrishnan, who was leading commandos as Taj. and his last word was, "Don't come up, I will handle them." He knew exactly what to be done one level down, and he was having a crystal clarity about ground reality. Let's go to the next trait. Agility, creative thinking, and innovation is literally required to become a game changer. Agility, we always call it that I have added 2 features in this sprint at a last moment. I am doing a 5 days job in 3 days. I believe that this is not agility. The true agility is something else. When someone observes the changes in the environment and says that, hey, see, these are the 2 changes has been done in the environment. Let us leverage across the team, across the organization, across the whole business ecosystem. I can give series of example. Facebook, WhatsApp, Netflix, Reliance Jio, Swiggy, Zomato. But one thing was common in them. They understand the changes in the environment. They leverage it with agility, creative thinking, and innovation, and hence they become a game changer. It is essential for us as a leader to ensure practice of agility, creative thinking, and innovation to ensure that we are the game changer going forward. The next key trait is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Please note over here is I mentioned equity, not equality. Equity is all about fair openness and the fair opportunity. We all are fortunate. I'm sure we all are fortunate that we already applied diversity, equity, and inclusion in our childhood. We just need to realize it, understand it, and implement in our professional world. This is going to be interesting. This is the last trait. I believe this is important. Focus and determination. Can anyone name this gentleman, the legend on a screen? Anyone?
Singh.
Come again?
Milkha Singh.
Absolutely correct. Let me introduce you. The sporting icon who inspired generation of Indians with his feat on national and international stage. The flying Sikh Milkha Singh. Unfortunately, we lost him last month only. But I'm going to share one inspiring story, which is a learning for us. In 1956, Melbourne Olympics, he was representing India and he was not able to qualify after the heats. His coach was upset and given him a target of 45.9 seconds, which was a world record at that time. Mr. Singh returned back to India and started practicing with a single-minded focus and determination. And it was visible at first, Asian Games 1958 Tokyo, where he defeated the fastest man of Asia, Abdul Khalik. And after 2 years hence, he created a national record of 45.74 seconds for 400 relay race in 1960 Rome Olympics. However, he lost that race. That is a different story. But the record of 45.74 seconds, it took around 38 long years to break unless I am not able to recall the name of the person. Unless in 1998, the record has been broken by 45.7 seconds. The key learning over here is basically, as a leader, we need to put our focus and determination behind that objective which we are trying to achieve, which we are aspiring for. Now, my question to you is, what is your 45.9? Think about it. Think about Mr. Singh, who lived for one single number, 45.9 for 4 years. And it took 4 years for him to beat this 45.9 number. Think about his focus, determination, efforts, and everything. As a leader, we should practice it. Now, we discuss about the change in action world. We talk about the key leadership traits which is really required to practice or either we should have. I personally believe that the future is of the combat leadership. The combat leadership is inclusion of all leadership style and blend of more or less all leadership skills. The nature of future operation going to be more complex and lethal than ever. Leaders must think strategically, impart organization goal, focus on team, and pragmatic decision making in difficult situations. At end of the day, command battle is commander's ability to think and lead. And finally, I'm asking you a vital question. In last 1.5 year approximately, have you observed any changes in your surroundings, in your action world, or have you seen any or observed any kind of the change in the leadership in your family, friends, in your society, in your community, in your work area even? So can some of you step up and share? We all will learn from you. And thank you. Back to session chair Divya.
Thank you, Avinash. So I would request the participants to unmute yourself and ask any questions that you may have on this wonderful session that we had.
Or rather, I request if someone can step up and share their observation, if they observed something and a change in their environment, change in the leadership across anywhere, it would be really good, or whatever way you want.
Avinash, Bhuvan here. I mean, what is
Your voice is cracking, Bhuvan.
yeah?
Yeah,
Is
go
it
ahead.
better now? Yeah.
Yeah, far better, loud and clear.
Sorry. Yeah. So Avinash, one.
Bhuvan, we are unable to hear you, Bhuvan. So Bhuvan, could you
In
please
fact, to be very
probably
honest,
Bhuvan, could you please place your question or your response in the chat window, and probably we can read it out to Avinash? Hello, Bhuvan.
Anyone else who wants to share something or who want to discuss?
Yeah, when you said combat leadership, right? So during this pandemic, say, how would you say, demonstrate it as a leader? Say, how can you do that?
In my view, this is my personal opinion. The thing is basically the lockdown is a very specific kind of phenomenon. And I believe that all decisions are going to be paradox in nature. You cannot decide between right and wrong. Whatever you take action, it is going to be a decision making between one right to another right and one wrong to another wrong. Let me just frame you with an example. Let's say, for example, that we had observed the deficiency of the oxygen. Now, any decision, you cannot take a decision that I will give a state A first, state B first, because everything is, going to be a wrong decision. You have to decide between one wrong to another wrong. Let's say state A do have a X number and state B have a Y number where Y is more, better to respond to Y. So in my opinion, a lockdown or the pandemic, all these are a very specific situation where we need to be very strong on a strategic decision making, and it will be, over spurred by a paradox leadership. You cannot take a decision. You have to choose between one wrong to another wrong, whichever is beneficial to the community, which is beneficial to the society, and of course the country. So this is my opinion that one should decide whatever is the the lowest number of the damage and where we can stop the damage. You cannot
Okay, in
stop
some
the damage basically.
So in some special situations, right, we have seen that some decisions that are taken does not yield good results, say like right results. So are you just saying that actually it can be a wrong or something?
No, leadership is all about, responding to the crisis. In my opinion, if there is no crisis, actually we do not need any leader. This is what I think. And when there is a crisis, there is no right and wrong decision. You cannot judge anyone with a right or wrong parameters. I hope you can understand. It is something like that, how or what we should do to, to restrict the damage at a certain point, that after this, the damage will not happen. You cannot do that. For example, again, I'll take, what is the probability that I will get a COVID as a Avinash? I can take a precautionary measure, right? I can do some actions, but I cannot stop it. There is no way to stop it. I hope you can understand that.
Yeah, got it. So that means there is no emotional connect actually, just being, say it's just a combat, say like a leadership, like say for a combat operation or something like that.
No, combat leadership is something different. I am talking about the pandemic and the lockdown. Listen, combat leadership is a combination of different leadership style, different traits, and different skill sets. And why I feel that the combat leadership is going to be the future, there is a reason behind it. It is not like that it's a simple equation. If you look at it, the combat leadership talk about the empathy, vision, and courage. Now, right now we are into the situation where we need empathy as well as the courage. And as I said that nature of future operation is going to be more complex and lethal than ever. So this is the one way of doing it. It may not be exactly correct. There is no right and wrong answer in the leadership. You cannot judge with the definition of right and wrong. I hope
Now
I
it's
answered
clear.
your
Yeah,
question.
I understood. Yeah, I understood it now actually. In the last part. Yeah, thank you.
Avinash, this is Bhuvan. I'm back. Very sorry. Apologies that I lost my network.
Not at all, Bhuvan. Please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, in fact, the topic itself is very powerful. Talking of leadership and change nature of leadership, and the examples you took, though everything was military, that hit the nail on the head. And some words that you used, like not equality but equity. In fact, amazing. Thanks a lot. Actually, that's something that's hard for many people to understand. What is the difference between equality and equity? You are actually asking about experience. At least in my experience, I've seen most of the time combat leadership or the combativeness of leaders comes not despite because they are pushed to the corner, but because their backs are to the wall and there is nothing. In fact, I've seen in COVID times, right? I will give you a very maybe a stupid example. It may be funny also. At home, I have seen this.
Go ahead.
At home, I have seen this. My wife, basically, she's not, she's a homemaker and she's educated, very well educated, but she's a homemaker at the moment and everything. But in the last 2 years, she has seen me working from home most of the time. And earlier it was an enigma. I used to go to office at 9 in the morning, come back at say 11 in the night or something. But now right in front of her eyes when I'm working all the time, right? She knows that it's not an enigma anymore. And that basically has given her the confidence that these guys, right, IT guys, so-called project managers, program managers, they're actually not doing great things. They are normal people doing things differently, sometimes greatly. And that has rubbed on her also. And what has happened is she has become more assertive. I would say this. That's why I said it's a very funny example. And the way actually she has started expressing her desires, her professional, for example, what she wants to do in her career and everything, that has changed 360 degrees or 180 degrees, I would say. Sorry. Yeah, 180 degrees. And she also actually has told me that this is because she has been observing actually me and some other people working from home. And this is basically where that enigma is gone, then the combativeness really comes out. So that is one real example that COVID has basically brought in. It has stripped off quite a lot of preconceived notions, biases and everything, and brought out the real nature of leaders. I would say maybe, yeah, I'm using a homemaker as an example, but I don't think she's any different from what the military is also doing. All the ladies, what they do at home is not any less valuable than what the military is doing. I don't know.
Oh, very true and a great example, Bhuvan. Thank you for that. And let me share one thing that I'm not sure whether you are aware of or not. It is an estimation by the experts. The 41% of the GDP is being carried by the homemaker. I'm not sure whether you are aware or not. And it is a thankless job and no one is recognizing. But let me give you a good news. Yesterday, I was going through the Harvard recent study where they says that there is a 19% growth in women leadership across the, or not only the corporates and I mean to say the SMEs, in a different vertical, different society, different organization, there is a 19% of increment in women leadership. So this is something good news for us.
That's actually a great news, gladdening news actually for all of us. Thanks a lot, Avinash, for the information.
My pleasure, Bhuvan. So Divya, any other thing, any question or any other thoughts from anyone, whoever want to share their own observation,
Yes.
please, most
Yes,
welcome.
Avinash. So probably we'll take one last question here. So this is from Syed Wazim. So he has actually put that in the chat. So his question goes like this: when we know from heart that the decision is wrong, and if the decision is for majority, how can we justify that?
Oh, that is what my favorite topic. I'm sorry, Divya, I could extend for maybe 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Am I?
Sure, Avinash.
Okay. Uh, I'll ask a question, Syed, or to rather everyone. What do you think that why are soldiers going for a fight or going for a war or battle? They know that they are going to die. What is the reason? Can anyone narrate it? If possible, take this as a very positive way. Uh, Try to unmute yourself because I'm going to uncover. You know, I don't know what is the. It is a deep dive that we can make over here. Can anyone can anyone give me a reason that why a soldier going for a war? Guess it. Please do that. It is for us. Okay. Anyone?
It is for territorial sovereignty.
Come again, please.
Patriotism.
Okay.
Say like
Anyone else?
being patriotic, territorial sovereignty.
Okay.
To retain the territorial sovereignty.
Okay, got it. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Patriotic,
Shivani
okay,
says that
patriotism.
they care for others more than themselves. Then Akila
Not
says
exactly, but
patriotism.
yes, because they care for others more than themselves. Who is the what is the definition of others? Shivani, can you just save his own homeland? Okay. Shivani, can you just narrate that? What is the definition of others when you are saying they are not risk averse? Oh, okay. Okay. So just let me share with you. The most of the army across the world fights, go to battle or war just due to 3 reasons. It is not patriotism. It is not nation. Nothing. The ground reality, I'm telling you, there are only 3 reasons behind it. One, have you seen the Kerala police is holding the Kerala police badge over here? Their designation is on shoulder, if you can observe them. So whatever is written on their hand as a Paltan, the name of the Paltan is the first reason they are fighting. Second thing is that they are fighting for their own colleagues, the friends, relative, everyone who is residing with them 24/7. They knows it. If anybody can save me, he is going to be my friend. And I am going to save him. They are not fighting for the nation or anything else. They are not fighting for their families. They are not fighting for to save their lands. They know that I came into the war because I am going to die. And if I save my colleague, he is going to save me. This is the second reason. And the third and the most important reason is the leadership. Can you not believe it? The person who is a major, I am telling you that whoever is, including me, I am also part of that. I used to call it as I'm a technology program manager. I had handled the national level programs or something like that. Trust me that a 28, 29 years old major is doing 1,000 times more responsible work as compared to me. And this is the ground reality. And a soldier is fight for that particular leader, and that leader is saying that come with me in war. I am taking a responsibility to bring back you life. These are the three reasons why a soldier fights in any war. And go with my word, 90% of the army across the world goes in war just for these three reasons. Now, answering to the question that when I took a decision, I know it is wrong. Question over here is, it doesn't matter what you feel basically. Question over here is, what is right and what is wrong? Is a choice between right and wrong, is a choice between one right to another right, is a choice between one wrong to another wrong. Let's say example, you had gone in a war, you know that if I'm like, for example, like Entebbe operation, I told that they had left 174-year-old woman at an airport only. However, they bring back those 4 slain bodies. Think about the commandos who took a decision to leave her, because they knows it. If I am leaving a one particular woman who is a 74 years old, I am able to save 102 other lives. It was a decision between two wrong. There is no right or wrong. So basically, in my opinion, 1 second, let me check the name of the person. Syed. So Syed, answer to your query is that it doesn't matter that how you feel it. The important is the decision making. And so-called in a business environment also, we take lot many decisions despite knowing it is wrong. And this pandemic, you must have observed, we are the person who said thank you. Tomorrow onward, you are not required, or next month would be your last working day. We know it is wrong. We felt wrong by our heart, but we are forced to do it because it is required. It is the demand of the time. The decision making which serves to the community, serves to the mass people. I hope, Syed, I have answered to your query. So, Divya, anything further?
We are good, Avinash. We are good. There are a few comments in the chat box from Mr. Balaji.
Can I ask something?
So yes, Avinash, there's a question from Partho. So
yeah, Partho, please. Thank you. Thank you for coming up.
Actually, I am telling you, as a leader, sometimes it is very difficult to decide. Suppose, let's give me an example that I am from Bangladesh, and there have a district like Khulna, which is a red zone for COVID.
Okay.
But for a national level project, I have to go there with my team. But if I think that every team member has his or her own family, but I have to go there to finish the job, to finish my job, to finish the project work. So in that situation, I have to go there. But if I think that my team members also maybe fall some difficulties and their life risks also. So in this situation, how can I decide that there I have to go or not there? And how can I manage my management?
This is why I said that the combat leadership is the future. The belief in leadership is very important, and it cannot be done by the theoretical approach. And this was the reason that I had taken a very holistic approach to understand with the practical examples. Now, question over here is, either you believe in your leadership or either you believe in your own leadership. Try to understand one thing, that if a troop on a war, and let's say a major killed up, or he might be injured or something like that, within the team somebody is taking up. It is not a question of that I'm not going to listen to my major or the commander. This is not the situation, number one. Number two is that given a situation, I personally believe that the decision making, as I told a few minutes back also, that it is not important that how it will feel to someone else or to me. It is important, or it is imperative to ensure that our decision making is going to help or going to do something, going to add some value. Now, question over here is how you are going to convince your boss. I'm not sure on this part. Either there is a problem in your boss leadership or your own leadership or your team leadership. I'm not sure on the whole situation, so I cannot comment on the the personal aspect of it. But in my opinion, whether going to a red zone or executing a task is important as compared to any one individual feeling. If it is important, please go ahead and do it. If I would have been in your place, I would have done the same thing.
Can I ask one question?
I hope Partho. Yeah, please.
Yeah. Excellent session, Avinash. See, one thing.
Thank you.
We all know that leaders will lead from front, but one of the article I read from Harvard, leaders will lead from behind. What do you say about this?
These are the two different approach.
Which one is
the
good?
leaders are come again.
Which one is impactful? Which one is impactful?
No, it depends upon, you cannot judge, as I told you, you cannot judge it because it all depends upon the situation. It all depends upon the environment. It all depends upon, like, let's say, for example, you are working in a company called ABC. Your CEO cannot go to a customer and talk to them unless until he want to set some examples, right? Point number one. Point number two is that there is always a part of, the strategic thinking, planning, and lot many aspect in a leadership. I take an example of 26/11 attack where the person was supposed to lead from the front, but there is other aspects also where a leader is leading from the back end. Nowadays, you might be heard about the the servant leadership. I believe again, other day I was talking to Jaya Krishna basically, and I shared him one of my thought that I believe that a gardener mindset leadership is going to one of the reason that that will make him successful, because a gardener mindset will do one thing, that he will create the environment so that everybody can grow with a certain purpose. So Prasad, to answer to your query, basically it all depends upon the situation, in what situation you are and how you want to do it. It all depends upon the individual leaders. Some might be prefer to go with the front, some might be leading from the back end. It all depends upon a person to person, situation to situation.
Thank you.
I hope I answered to you.
Yeah, thank you, Avinash.
Yeah, thanks, Prasad.
Great. So considering there are no further questions, thanks, Avinash. Thanks for your time today, and thanks for that excellent session. So, and thanks all for joining today. So you will be receiving your PDU claim code via email. But thanks for being a great audience today. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Avinash.
you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Avinash.
Good see.
Thanks, Divya.
Yeah.